Welcome to Foundations of Public Administration. I'm Dr. Jennifer A. Taylor. This week, we're studying public budgeting. Budgets may look like spreadsheets, but they are also statements of values and priorities. They tell us who gets what, when, and how. As Guy and Ely explain, budgets are financial plans, but also political documents. They reflect choices. They embed trade-offs. They reveal power. A budget is a planning document. It translates priorities into resources. It provides control and accountability. But here's the twist. Behavioral public budgeting shows that real decisions are not purely rational. Anchoring, framing, cognitive bias. Moore and Kearney describe how these distort budget outcomes. On this slide, imagine a two-column comparison. Formal roles on the left, behavioral realities on the right. Let's review the models. Incremental budgeting, the baseline approach. Last year's budget plus small changes. Stable, predictable, but resistant to innovation. Zero-based budgeting, or ZBB. Every expense must be justified from scratch. No automatic carryover. It forces managers to question assumptions. Picture two flow charts side by side. Incrementalism starts from the past. Zero-based budgeting starts from zero. And here's where I want to share a story. When my husband served as Air Operations Officer at Naval Air Station Corpus Christi, I saw this in action. This base handles over 450,000 takeoffs and landings each year. Every September, the budget had to be spent down. Anything left over could be cut the next year. So, there was a spending spree: leather couches, televisions, cable subscriptions, coffee stations, anything under $5,000. But the real need was runway lighting. The old incandescent system left pilots nearly blind in fog. LED lights would improve safety, but the Department of Defense classified it as a capital improvement. That meant it was not allowed under the annual operating budget. My husband thought differently. He broke the project into small pieces. Each year, he bought $5,000 of equipment. By year 4, the base had LED runway lighting, a project that would never have been approved through normal channels. That's the spirit of zero-based budgeting. Challenging assumptions. Justifying every expense, and sometimes working around rigid rules to meet real needs. Budgets also involve people, stakeholders, citizens, agencies. Participatory budgeting gives residents a voice. Aziz and Shah describe cases where citizens mapped priorities alongside government officials. Imagine a diagram where flows of influence move back and forth between citizens and government. This is budgeting not only as a technical exercise, but as a democratic process. Equity and justice in budgets. Another trend is equity-oriented budgeting. Some governments adopt gender-responsive or racial equity reviews. Budgets are analyzed not just for efficiency, but for fairness. Picture a before and after map. One map shows resources concentrated in wealthier neighborhoods. The other shows resources redistributed for greater equity. Equity budgeting makes invisible disparities visible. Research also shows that what matters most is not preparation, but follow-through. Koo and colleagues found that participation, implementation, and evaluation are stronger predictors of budget performance than the drafting stage alone. Imagine a scatterplot. Agencies that engage stakeholders and evaluate outcomes perform better. The lesson: it's not just the plan on paper. It's the process and the execution. Nonprofits face unique challenges. They depend on donors and grants. Budgets may be restricted. Transparency is limited compared to governments. Bell reminds us of the constant tension between accountability and flexibility. A table makes it clear. constraints on one side, trade-offs on the other. Should funds be restricted to programs, or can they cover capacity building and reserves? Nonprofit budgeting is a balancing act. Case example: Midville. Now, let's apply these ideas. Imagine the city of Midville has $10 million. Parks, youth programs, infrastructure. In a top-down process, City Council decides. In a participatory process, residents debate and vote. What would you do? How would you allocate? What values guide your decision? Equity, efficiency, visibility, or long-term impact? Trade-offs and implications. Every budget forces trade-offs: equity versus efficiency, accountability versus flexibility, short-term fixes versus long-term investments. In nonprofits, the stakes are sharper: restricted gifts, donor expectations, overhead debates, survival balanced against mission. Budgets are never neutral, they are tools of choice. So here's the takeaway. Budgets are not just numbers. They are political and ethical documents. They embed power, values, and priorities. Next week, we move from formulation to execution and control. Until then, I leave you with a question. Which budgeting model do you find most promising? Incrementalism, zero-based budgeting, or participatory budgeting? And why?